So, I'm pretty sure the video is not gonna come out by this point, but at the time I'm recording, it's July 21st, 2026. So, we're gonna make another SML video because, I don't know, I'm creatively bankrupt. What else can I say? So, would you guys believe that in October, it will have officially been 10 years since Logan first moved to the SML house? I know he doesn't live there anymore, but as of October, he'll have officially been filming in this house for 10 years. And we're going to talk about some things that were done when Logan was first setting up the house to be filmed in. So, first off, there was Junior's room. Obviously, Junior needed to have a room, and Logan decided to go for this whole blue painted room with a Thomas the Tank Engine aesthetic. Like, it's full of Thomas stuff, and it even had a literal Thomas bed, because Junior loved Thomas at that time, and it fit Junior quite well. And then there was also Bowser's room, which Logan had be painted a whole red to give this evil feeling to Bowser. And of course, because Bowser watches TV all the time, we needed a TV in the room too. And another one of the rooms in the house was a room that was completely filled with toys because it was the playroom, and it was where Junior and Jeffy and everyone else was supposed to play with their toys. And one of the most important rooms in the house was this gray painted room that kind of acted like a secret room. Like, they just kind of used that room whenever they needed to. And there was even a whole door behind it, which is where the idea for the secret door came from, with all the people that were murdered before they moved into the house. And a big problem before they moved to this house was doing school-centered episodes. Bowser Jr.'s summer school and Bowser Jr.'s first grade were both filmed in actual schools because they didn't have a classroom set at this time. But Logan intended to make a classroom set for this house so they could do their own school videos in the house. And when they first moved in, Jeffy's crib was just put in this house because, in the classroom, because there wasn't anywhere else to put it at the time. It was there for like 3 videos before eventually the decision was made to either move it to Junior's room or the secret room. They ended up choosing Junior's room. So for a while, you had the Blue Thomas room. It was sometimes Junior's room and sometimes Jeffy's room. There's supposed to be 2 different rooms in universe, but it's the same physical space being used for both rooms. So you had this whole setup going for a while, but eventually, in a chilly vlog that was uploaded on either June 30th or July 1st of 2019, they announced that they were making changes to the house. They had concluded that Junior's room and Bowser's room were the sets they had used the least often, as Logan claimed he only ever used the room for sleeping scenes, and that made it one of the least used rooms in the house. But I'm going to tell you, it wasn't used too often, but it was not only used for sleeping scenes. On top of that, Logan really hated the way the paint in this room showed up on the walls. And I know one thing that probably would have helped with that. Almost any time they filmed in this room during the daytime, they kept the light off, and that's part of why the room looked so bad on camera. I think it works fine whenever they have the light on, but when they have it off, it sucks. And Bowser's room they had also not been using very often, because really they only ever use it when Bowser's in a video, and sometimes they don't even use it when Bowser's in a video. But their plan was to completely get rid of those rooms in-universe. They were going to change the bedrooms. I'm going to tell you guys, the playroom was used a lot less often than Junior's room. But they had decided that the playroom was still a functioning set, and their plan was to have it maintain its original purpose for all the characters to play in, but they were also going to be moving Junior's bed and Jeffy's crib into the playroom. And Tito had been sleeping in Bowser's room all this time because he also lived at the house, but he apparently needed a bigger room. And Junior's room was the same size as the classroom. It was hard to tell because the only parts of the room that ever got used were the beds, but it was one of the biggest rooms in the house, the same size as the classroom. The classroom has to fit 9 desks and a whole front desk and all that. So yeah. And Logan had also concluded that this room was too big for them to keep using it the way they did. So that's why they chose to move Tito into this room. And their plan was to repaint Junior's room, give it to Tito, and make it the room for another character like Chef Pee or Mario. They did do the first 2 of those things, but they did not make it a room for another character in universe. And now I'm going to tell you guys what happened to Junior's room and Bowser's room. On July 21st, 2019, we got the video Bowser Jr.'s New Room, which has Bowser kick Jr. out of his room after he misbehaves, and he has to sleep on the couch where Chef Pee had been sleeping all this time. But Chef Pee can't take that and makes a deal with Bowser to get his own bed. But for some reason, instead of just getting Chef Pee a bed, he puts a bunk bed in the playroom for Junior and Chef Pee to sleep in. So Bowser ultimately makes Junior and Chef Pee roommates. In the Chili vlog, Logan was actually gonna talk about his initial plan for Junior and Chef Pee to be roommates when he first moved into the house, but he gets hit by the ceiling fan before we can actually hear him elaborate on that, and he completely loses track of the conversation after that. And now Junior and Chef Pee are roommates. But now their original plan to move Jeffy's crib into the playroom has gone bust. Because after the bunk beds were put in there, instead of just moving Junior's bed into there, there was ultimately no space for the crib, and they couldn't figure out a place to put it. So eventually they decided to just get rid of it and have Jeffy sleep in the bunk beds, which is a pretty stupid choice, because at least with the Thomas bed and the crib, you can have the illusion that those are 2 separate rooms in universe. But when you have a bunk bed used by Junior and Chef Pee and no canonical reason for Jeffy to be sleeping there in universe, the illusion that these are 2 different rooms kind of breaks. But now I'm going to talk about how I feel about that. I've never really liked the bunk bed setup. The Thomas room was a lot more stylized. Like, it was meant specifically for Junior. The playroom, they just haphazardly turned into a bedroom. Like, it still maintains its original purpose, but now it's a bedroom as well. And in the remake of Jeffy Sleepwalks, which was made back in the days of The Apartment while Jeffy was still sleeping in a crib, Jeffy just sleeps on the floor because they got rid of his crib after setting up the bunk beds. And that's just kind of sad to think about. So, I can't believe it's officially been 7 years since they first got rid of Junior's room. But now let's talk about their plans to get rid of Bowser's room. So, after Tito moved out of Bowser's room, they had a plan to put Bowser behind the secret door. Like, they put an air conditioner in that room so they could film in it and turn it into Bowser's room. Their plan was to put a TV and a toddler bed behind the secret door. But I haven't done too much research into this, but they never actually went through on their plan to get rid of Bowser's room. To this day, Bowser's room is still the red one it started out as. And I think that's for the better. Alright, that's really all I have to say.